King Tide Farms is a hydroponic urban farm that specializes in growing lettuce, herbs, and leafy greens. Today, I talk one-on-one with the owner and operator of King Tide Farms, Hamilton Horne, for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Hamilton Horne, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. I know that you obviously are the owner and operator of King Tide Farms, which is a hydroponic farm located right here in Charleston. You are an urban farm that practices organic and sustainable methods in growing lettuce, herbs, obviously edible flowers, leafy greens, and other things. Tell me, why King Tide Farms? Why now?
Well, that's a great question. I think that, over these last few years, there's really been the spotlight has been put on such issues as what you're eating. Your health is probably of utmost concern for a lot of people. And then, we're all logistics experts now. No one knew what the Suez Canal was, but now we all have a little bit of knowledge on what that is and things that are happening around the world that are keeping us from getting our everyday supplies and not just things that we want, things we need, like healthy food. And then with things like that, being able to get you, exactly like you're saying, I can get you some hyper-local lettuces and produce right here in Charleston. We're located at the Firefly Distillery in North Charleston, so right here in the middle of it all, sir.
Yes, indeed. And what organic and sustainable methods were actually used on the hydroponic farm before this particular initiative?
So I don't have much experience before that with this. So I would say for the past 2 years, I've just been educating myself on the systems, and particular with this system here that I bought from Freight Farms, a company out of Boston, Massachusetts. Yeah. So I do have a lot of support from them, and just kind of self-educating.
What else are you self-educating yourself on, Hamilton?
Well, sustainability methods and everything that kind of we're seeing with that falls in line and kind of goes with this hand in hand are things that are kind of that we're looking for and making sure that we're having sustainable packaging and things are going out that way and not just using one-time plastics to get you these healthy alternative greens.
What are those one-time methods?
Yeah, so just a lot of the going to the grocery store, we'd see the plastic bags around. We fought the straw war forever around here to save the sea turtles. So just making sure we're staying in line with that. Then also with some of the organic matter we have as a byproduct, we're making sure that we are using that for compost. We're getting with local organizations here in the area so we don't have any waste here. If something is not being sold, we're making sure it is being eaten by local people. And that is another reason we got started in this initiative too, is to help our locals in the community that don't have access to those foods and the food deserts that, we have such great food in Charleston. It's difficult to think that there are some places that don't have access to that good food and even grocery stores within a reasonable distance to their homes.
And I want to talk to you more about that in just a second, but I know that you obviously offer weekly box subscriptions, that is, and sell at markets in Charleston area. What are your current markets?
Yeah, so we're actually involved with the Holy City Farmers Market, which is right across the street here at the Holy City Brewery. That's every Sunday, so check that out. We start on the 15th, so we'll be there the 15th and the 22nd. And then also we are going to be at the Chef's Potluck this year, the 14th annual Chef's Potluck put on by Low Country Locals. And that is going to be on the 22nd here at 4 o'clock at Firefly. And we are teamed up with Ted's Butcher Block. So we're excited to bring you some tasty treats from that collaboration.
Yes, indeed. Ted's is awesome, by the way. And I know that you obviously have locally grown and harvest greens all available all year round. Each head of the lettuce can be traced back to the seed and is harvested and delivered within days. How much compost and organic matter go into soil ahead of transplanting and actually direct seeding?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Quintin. We actually use a peat moss plug. It's a think about like the inside of a coconut. So we're not actually using dirt when we're growing this. So it's keeping everything a lot cleaner, which is what we're doing. It's controlled environment agriculture. And so we really want to control all the variables that your traditional farmer or growing in your garden might face. And in doing so, we try and control it all. And so with that, we're using peat moss plugs and then just inducing nutrients when we see fit, how we see fit through our water supply.
Now, is your lettuce tolerant to a partial shade?
So what we do with our lights here is we found out that capturing the red and blue light spectrums are going to help grow the best. So when we use that, we use a different blend of those lights to help them grow, and so they will grow to, in about 7 weeks, you'll see it about a 5.5 ounce head of lettuce.
Wow, that's just amazing. Now,
Yes, sir.
what high nitrogen organizer fertilizer do you actually use?
Yeah, so we just use two different compounds. They're just simple compounds that we just introduce. They're water soluble, so we mix it up in about a gallon of water. We have nutrient tanks. I'm actually sitting right here next to them, and it induces those with sensors that we have built in here, so it can tell exactly when and how much is needed. So again, back to the waste, we're not just pushing out nutrients when the plants don't need it.
Exactly. And I know that a hydroponic farm to table experience that is obviously your brand. How has that experience changed this particular community?
I think it's going to be great for the chefs. That's one thing. Is I grew up in the food and bev industry around here in Charleston, so I was always thrilled when new restaurants would come here and new chefs and guys cooking new things. And so I think with this, what I can do is work with chefs and be able to give them ingredients they don't otherwise see. So again, talking about the logistics and things like that, 90% of all of our lettuces come from California and Arizona. With being 3 days away, you lose a lot of your nutritional value, and you also lose the freshness of that. So I'll be able to get these chefs the freshest product, and the products that can be grown in other parts of the country, in other parts of the world that we can otherwise resource for an affordable price here. I can do that for them.
And what is that affordable price typically?
Yeah, so that's going to be dependent upon the product and exactly what it is. So something, like a head of lettuce can range between $3 and $5. Or, I have some microgreens and one of our specials, a wasabi arugula, those can get up to about $20 plus an ounce or so. So
that's amazing. I saw that a couple of weeks ago on the Instagram story. But
yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. How many chefs are you working with thus far?
So I've been meeting with them right now. I'd say that we're probably going to be ready to go to public fully after these farmers markets are going to kind of be our soft opening, making sure we have everything right for our meeting here at the 14th annual potluck. But I do have some chefs that are slowly getting material and just seeing exactly how much they're going to need on a weekly basis. So taking it nice and slow to make sure that we are getting everything correct and being consistent in our deliveries.
How will you be consistent with your deliveries?
Yeah, so again, we're going to have a weekly harvest there, and with that, we're really going to try and focus on making sure that we have the exact amount those chefs need. So with that, making sure we're not over-promising and under-delivering, which is quite something that happens quite frequently. And then again, like I said, Quintin, being close to Charleston, if it's something needed last minute, I can run it to you. My farm is convenient; it is very close to you. So with a quick phone call or a text message, I can help out before that big weekend rush gets here.
Exactly right. Speaking of Charleston, how did you find your land?
Yeah, so that's great. Not to go too far back, but after Hurricane Dorian, I volunteered with a buddy of mine around Charleston, and we went down to Bahamas, Hope Town. And so that particular island is almost a sister island for Charleston, and it has been since the 1700s. So a lot of ties there, and just helped out the community. And Firefly Distillery has a resort down there called Firefly Sunset Resorts. That was kind of our headquarters where we cooked and helped out. And so I stayed down there for 15 days, helping the community come back together any way I could. But a large part of what I was doing was preparing food. So through that, bringing smiles for people, with a warm plate of food, making that connection with Firefly. I came back to Charleston when I started, having this idea and this plan. I reached out to them. They were very excited, and so it all just kind of naturally happened. It seems like everything happens for a reason, and it's all falling right in place. So naturally, we're right here with our guys at Firefly on Sproul Avenue in North Charleston, and they got plenty of room out here for everybody.
And speaking of everybody, how much more land is available for anybody who wants to do exactly what you're doing?
Yeah, so that's the thing. You're definitely going to have to check out with your local politicians and your local municipalities on where you can put these. That it is futuristic, it is advanced technology. So, we are in a port city with lots of containers. However, there are lots of restrictions with containers.
Yeah.
So with that being said, just basically, if anyone is looking to do some of that, go with your local regulations.
Yes, sir. So sorry about this Wi-Fi connection here, but let me ask you this: what connections did you make when you were with Bahamas in connection to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so that's it. With the owners of Firefly, they have the resort down there. And so just meeting those guys and getting connected with them and then coming back and just really connecting with them here in Charleston. And that was my way to really get this idea out to them, and they're really behind it. They're with sustainability, is all of their products they use here are compostable, and they will be helping us with our compost mission as well, with all of their byproduct they use in distilling Charleston's favorite liquors.
Now, what farm implements have allowed a grower to reduce the incidence of pests or disease, increase overall efficiency, save resources, and recycle certain things?
Yeah, that's great. So we actually have about behind me, all the way in the back over there, there's about an 80-gallon tank of water that we keep in here. Now, we only use 5 gallons of water a day to keep this whole farm going. And what to do is the water circulates itself back. And so when we're able to do that, we're only using 5 gallons of water a day per day growing all of these plants. And we can do between about 2 and 4 tons of produce annually out of one of these. I'd say at the end of the month, there's about 25 gallons left in the tank. However, we remove that water to get new water back in. So to cut down, like you were saying, on that disease, anything else like that, refreshing your water source every 30 to 40 days is necessary with that. When we exit the water, we have some great sod around here, so we make sure we water all of our beautiful flowers and grass around us with that water.
Now, when did you know that water quality was actually ideal for your business?
Yeah, so we definitely did a lot of water tests. We have a pretty good filtration system on here, so it wasn't ideal. So that is definitely something that you have to fight with. And if you are, making sure you are, again, controlling everything in the process, controlling your water quality is something of utmost importance. And so that's where we make sure we tested that and we have the right filtration. And then again, with our sensors here, I can control the pH levels and other things like that.
Well, yes, absolutely. And I know in many cases, hydroponic growing systems are used for control environment, agriculture, that is, to ensure that the plants receive optimal nutrients and water needed to produce an ample crop. Do hydroponic vegetables taste a little different?
So vegetables, possibly. We don't really grow a lot of vegetables in here. Now, I think that everyone's got a different palate. If you're talking to a traditional farmer, they're going to tell you that, and the dirt's going to grow a little bit differently in here. So as far as vegetables and fruiting vegetables and kind of root vegetables, that's not something that we really focus on in here. We are more focused on your leafy greens, your lettuces, your herbs, and your edible flowers.
Wow. And I know that obviously you minimize your carbon footprint, as you said, by recycling water, even drawing moisture out of the air that the plant produces. How much water have you actually recycled since your launch?
So we've been up and running for about 3 months. And so, looking at that, we're cycling and saving about 90% more water than what you would see of a traditional kind of row crop or a traditional farmer. So saving 90% each month, and we're only using 80 gallons. That's only 10% of that. So I guess 80 times 90, we're saving a lot. We're saving a really lot. So it looks like over 600 gallons a month is what we're saving growing these crops. If I was to do it the traditional way out in the field, I would be using 9 times as much water.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, obviously, technology has allowed you all to replicate perfect conditions for the crop each time. What
Certainly.
perfect conditions are replicating with technology?
That's definitely a big thing with this. A lot of this technology was just available recently enough at an affordable price for the public. So, as we continue to grow and our technology grows, as a race, I think that you're going to be able to see a lot more of these. And we have so much, I call it dead land and dead space in Charleston, under bridges, on top of buildings. In Europe, they have these on top of grocery stores. It just seems like it's the way to go, and what needs to happen with a lot of dead space that we have. We can put something that's useful there.
Now, how many of those dead spaces are left around Charleston?
I'm a realtor in my old life in a different hat, but I tell you, if there's not a lot, you better have a big briefcase full of money if you want it.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. And I know, obviously, this is the future of farming, as you mentioned, and you are very excited for people to obviously, try your lettuce. What was slated?
Certainly.
Yeah, what was slated to be the future of farming prior to King Tide Farms?
I just think that there's a lot of things that we could do. Monocropping is something big that they do with lettuces, again, in Arizona and California. And I encourage anyone to look up on there exactly how much stuff is recalled. There is a lot of the bagged lettuces and mixes that are recalled from over there that you don't hear about. And it's because of those unsustainable practices that we've been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. So there are definitely many, many farmers around here. They're doing great jobs and are great examples of that. And this is not a way to ever to replace them. It's a way to coincide together. We have to have technology. We have to have a traditional way. We have to come together to make sure we are getting enough locally sourced, healthy produce to our local people.
Now, what farmers in Charleston are you actually currently collaborating with?
That's a great question. So last week we were in Kindlewood Farms out of Walterboro. We were in their CSA, or their community supported ag weekly delivery, and so we had some of our wasabi arugula with them, and we just look forward to making more of those relationships and meeting people along the way. And it's not just your traditional farmer. We have oyster farmers here now. We've got a lot of fishermen. And then we also have, your sea bean farms with heron farms down the street as well. So there's just a lot of attention on Charleston for the culinary capital of the Southeast that it is. And I think that we have a chance to really show people that we have sustainable methods here as well.
This is a silly and redundant question, Hamilton, but who is your target market?
Yeah, it's not a silly question at all. It's everyone. I definitely want to encourage anyone and everyone that has a heightened sense and is really conscious about what they're eating and what's going into their body. I encourage you just to look at everything. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just what you're behind, what you want to support, and if you are looking for that, we have a great way and a great product to do so.
Now, is vertical farming really environmentally sustainable?
I think it is. If you're collecting rainwater, is another big thing that we want to go towards, and obviously solar is a big issue. These lights don't power themselves, and we all know what comes with electricity and how that can harm the environment. Now, one of the great things is we run our lights at night. So at night, typically less people are using electricity. We get a nice lower rate as well, but it's not such a strain on the grid during the day when everyone else is out and about using all the electricity. So, with those two items, I think those are the two biggest issues I myself have to face to get to the goals and levels of sustainability that I want to be at. But yes, sir, in the overall, I think that we need to find ways and we need to make ways to have some more sustainable farming like this. And like we were saying, when you can't go out anymore, you got to start going up.
Exactly right. And let me ask you this. What are those 4 disadvantages of using hydroponics in farming?
Yeah, I would just say like what we were just talking about. Some of the disadvantages are kind of you do use electricity. There's a very usually a higher entry by barrier of entry. It's more expensive. These systems and setups are not cheap. So maintaining and buying those, and that's really kind of what we see on our end. What the difficulty with that is.
Now, are there any pest problems in hydroponics?
Certainly there are. Yes, sir. I've got some fly traps up in the corner as well. You can't keep anything perfect, and we just really try to. So with that, again, controlling the air temperature, air quality, the humidity, the CO2 levels, we control all of that in here. But yes, sir, you better believe it. Sometimes things get in. So in our line of work, it's very important to make sure we have sterile and clean surfaces and environments at all times.
Now, this is a simplistic question, but is hydroponics actually organic?
Yeah, so the USDA owns the word and the rights to all of organics and everything like that. But if you were to look in the dictionary, yes, sir, we are pretty close to doing everything that they're doing and being organic in that matter.
Now, which EC are you actually maintaining?
I'm sorry?
Yes, sir. What EC are you actually maintaining?
Great question. So our electric current is around 2,700. And what we're looking to do there is electric current is going to monitor actually just like the true quality of water. So again, talking about our nutrients and why we recycle our water is we don't want there to be too much nutrients or too less nutrients. And and sometimes that can happen. So we regulate the EC to make sure we know the amount of nutrients that are going into the plants, and then the pH level is very important too. If that pH level is not ideal, those plants won't absorb those nutrients if that level is not where you want it. So there's definitely a little bit of that biology from Bishop England High School coming back into play with all of this.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now, everyone wants to be organic these days, but what does it actually take to be 100% organic?
Yeah, again, there's definitely an application process with the United States Department of Agriculture that you have to go through with them because they do own all the rights for that. So if you're that interested, there's definitely can check that out on the internet to see exactly what it is. I'm not exactly sure what they require.
Now, I know that on your website you said the half-life of some of the chemicals of other farms can be over 50 years. You take great care, that is, into ensuring that there are no insects or herbicides or pesticides used in the farm. And you believe that this is the only way plants can grow naturally as they were intended. And as you mentioned, you use the peat moss plugs as a medium to grow the crops, and which will still be attacked after harvest to maximize self-life and retention of nutrients. What are those dimensions of those plugs?
They're just very tiny. I guess I would say like 2 inches. It's just a small square, 2 inches by 1/4 inch. We get them pre-packaged. There's a small little hole that's in top. We usually use 10 by 20 trays of either 288 plant sites or 200 plant sites, and we just grow accordingly to that. But they are very small and helpful. And so, yeah, actually, I'm pull one off the wall and show you here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, about that. So we got some bib lettuce here, and as you can see there on the bottom, kind of Quintin, you got the peat moss plug there, and all the roots coming out through it.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yes, sir. And I guess that'll be lunch, I guess.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely, absolutely. And once rooted, Hamilton, can the plug be transplanted to soil?
Certainly can. Yes, sir. It's exactly right. So we actually have some conversations with potential clients coming up. Well, that's exactly what they're looking for us to do. And, you've seen a large push again towards this healthy eating and at home. We were locked down for a while. So there are a lot of systems that you can use at home, which I eventually hope to have some plugs to sell to the public at the farmers markets where you can take these home and put in your hydroponic system or either put in your garden and continue to grow there.
Yes, sir. It looks like this truck is trying to come in. Yes, I'm going to try to wrap this up really quick. But will these survive if transplanted to another garden other than a hydroponic garden?
Sure, certainly it will. They're off the environments that they're growing, but you definitely can grow it there. Just know when you do so, you're taking on all of those different variables when you go to the soil.
And what exactly is the shelf life for these crops?
Yeah, you're going to see the same thing. So it's all going to vary differently, but you're going to see an average shelf life that you'll see of any matching produce in the grocery store. And then the important thing with that is just to make sure you're keeping it in airtight containers. Just leaving it in the refrigerator or just leaving it on the counter. You want to make sure you have it in some sort of airtight container, as once these are harvested, air and moisture becomes their enemy.
And what was your business plan while trying to figure all of this out?
Yeah, I guess, just keep pushing forward, right? Just make sure just learning along the way. You're still learning and growing as we're doing this. And with each crop and with each harvest, I'll get better. And so the game plan is just roll with the punches.
Now, you said this on your website. You come from a place that has a strong sense of community, and you want to keep that alive. How will King Tide Farms be the anchor of the community near you?
Certainly, sir. So as we were talking about just the struggles of having food deserts, I feel North Charleston is one that really struggles with that. Not having a lot of good grocery stores with produce that's local. Again, as we talked about coming from so far away, you lose your nutritional value in the 72 hours it's being transported to you. So, having ties with several different organizations here directly in North Charleston, Fields to Families, Green Heart, and some other people that we've been talking to. We just really want to make sure that we are helping out the community and everyone that's in it. Hopefully you can get big enough and offer some jobs in the future. And then also being able to educate our youth about growing food. I do think that while our generation and my family and my parents are boomers, they did a great job growing us up, but a lot of processed foods and weren't really taught how to eat healthy. So being able to educate these kids on how to eat healthy and, don't drink all those sodas and have a salad
Yes.
and things like that. So having kids and having schools come out and tour the farm, or me go to them and talk to them as well, and just making it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me ask you this: but what crop describes King Ty Farms the best?
Oh, certainly, it's the wasabi arugula. You think you've had arugula before, you think it's peppery, but this tastes just like wasabi, and it's spicy. It kicks you right in the face, just like King Tide Farms. We're ready to shake things up.
Shake things up. And what else will you be shaking up in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, we just want to keep growing out here. Firefly's been here for 2 years. We're here at the beginning of the year, so I'd like to continue to grow our operations here. And if it does lead to maybe setting up an operation back in Hopetown, Bahamas, that would be a nice end goal as well. They've got nice sunshine and beaches down there too.
And what other locations are you also looking at?
Nothing right now. So we've put a lot into this. We put all of our eggs in one basket to make this work. So I think we're here for the next year, and hopefully after that we can talk about possibly getting another container to just offer more product to the area.
And the truck is right up on me, so let me. No, not at all. But Hamilton Horne with King Ty Farms, thank you for your time, and again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thanks, Quintin. I really appreciate it, man. Look forward to it. Thanks.
Likewise.